So I'm here representing the 3 European brokers. Yesterday you were introduced to the 7 brokers. Bruno mentioned them all. So I don't know how many people are fully familiar with the data brokers, the transient brokers that are going to be feeding the community with transient alerts. But the 3 European brokers have kind of got together kind of naturally because of geography, but also under the ACME program as well, to see if we can provide a common, some kind of common infrastructure and common conversations about what we're dealing with at the moment in terms of LSST especially. So we meet basically on average about once every 2 months, hosted by the Think people very kindly. We agonize over various things. So as you know, LSST should actually be observing, I believe. It's very late. LSST is observing. We're getting commissioning data, and we are dealing with various problems of the schema implementation and how this works in our different implementations of our brokers. We've had operational rehearsals, and now we're currently doing the commissioning. And various issues have come up in terms of what the commissioning data looks like, which unfortunately I'm not allowed to share with you at the moment. So I have a whole bunch of slides on those, but hopefully I'll be able to reveal those when we go officially live. And what are we going to do with the stamps that come with the alerts? So we're also talking about whether or not how we can chain our functionalities together. So for example, Bruno, please close your eyes. So we are seriously, having to deal with the issues of how much data can we actually store and keep online forever. So just in 10 days, we'll have 2 terabytes of stamps already if we get 10 million alerts per night. And that's without any replication, without any backups I'm fond of. So what do we do with those images? Do some brokers want to do we keep like a temporary archive online and then expire after a period of time, or do we go back to the prompt products database? Can we go back to the prompt products database at the moment? At the moment, that interface is still to be specified to us. So one thing we've been asking is, can one of us as a broker provide some kind of common infrastructure for that? I'm not sure we have a full solution yet, but so the 3 European brokers are Ampel, Think, and Lasser. Ampel has been running for quite a number of years. All of the brokers have been running since at least 2017. I think Ampel probably was the earliest one. And I think Lasser came online 2018, I believe. Think came online 2019. So I'm not really here to explain what the brokers are about and how they work, apart from that eventually outputs will come that can be read, for example, by Astro-COLIBRI or distributed through Astro-COLIBRI, etc. So Ampel have done this various simulations as to how well they can classify certain objects, especially explosive transients, supernovae, and the like. Apparently they came top in their elastic challenge. So that's Ampel, and at the moment, the thing I'm just going to highlight here is that Ampel has created an annotator that talks to Lasser, and this means that we can combine functionality, which I'll describe a little bit later. And then Think, this is Think. If you have any questions about Think, there's Julian and Julianne are both here, and that's been operating since 2019, etc. So again, if you want information, the links are on the slides, so feel free to follow those links. And of course, we're now at the hot end of dealing with data. So one thing that we did recently enabled by Eloise, in fact, is that we had a machine learning model wrangling workshop. So Think has the idea of science modules, and people who write these science modules have machine learning models. And the problem is that it's a bit of a wild west as to how these models are managed and versioned, etc. And so a tool was identified called MLflow to try and bring some kind of order to this chaos. And so Eloise hosted a workshop at Oxford just 10 days ago, and it was a hackathon basically, whereby Julian in fact also hacked the authentication process. So because they really want you to pay for their setup, but actually you can run MLflow on your own servers, etc. Yeah, that was quite an interesting concept. So LASER has been running since 2018. So again, we've all been serving data from ZTF, the Zwicky Transit Facility, based at the Palomar 48-inch telescope in California. And now we're going south. We're going to start serving LSST alerts. And it's an order of magnitude increase in the number of alerts we're getting per night. So I will tell you a little bit more about LASER, and apologies to the other brokers how LASER oriented that this presentation is. I'm the LASER guy. So, at the core of what we do in LASER is a thing called Sherlock. So Sherlock is our annotator that deals with the incoming flow of objects. So we have an incoming flow of transients, and they may or may not be associated with nearby objects that we happen to have downloaded catalogs for. Once we've decided to associate the objects with the nearby catalogs, or the catalogs of the nearby objects, then we'll merge and rank those associations together, and then we'll give 3 items of information, a simple classification, like nuclear transient in this case, a bunch of metadata, like here are the cataloged objects in these catalogs, and a summary of why we think it's this object. And of course, that gives us potentially redshift information as well. We have, I realize it sounds maybe to some people like we're reinventing the wheel, and we're reinventing, for example, what's happening at Strasbourg. But all of our databases are local, and what we've done is effectively harvested a thin version of each database to do the cross-matching as the data comes through our system. So we've got all Sky catalogs, mostly all Sky catalogs. We've just introduced Sky DR3. We've just introduced the DESI Legacy Survey DR10. And I'm very, very, very interested, Bruno, in the LSST VP2, because the elephant in the room here is that a lot of the objects that we will just observe in LSST are going to be fainter than 23rd magnitude. And many of the catalogs don't go that deep. So the DESI catalogs kind of approach that area, but like the Pan-STARRS catalogs in the north, but we'll get a lot of orphans initially, and I think we need to get on top of that as soon as we possibly can after the survey starts. So we've just introduced DR3 and Legacy Survey. And of course, the deep drilling fields, there are 6 deep drilling fields whereby we'll just have one pointing of the LSST instrument of the camera, and we'll repeat and go back to those deep drilling fields every night. So we'll have amazing cadence in those fields, and we'll also have very deep photometry. So we have catalogs that are specific to those deep drilling fields, and in particular some space catalogs in the Cosmos field in particular. Those will be hopefully deep enough for what we need. And my colleague Josh Weston has introduced a bit of software. You can follow that link and go to his his AutoWiki, or it's now been called Lestrade. If you're into Sherlock Holmes, this is the fourth character of Sherlock Holmes now that's being used after Sherlock Moriarty in GoToLand and Adler in Solar System Land, LSST. So Sherlock, one of the things that we're doing is creating an API. We've already created an API for Sherlock to allow you to actually query Sherlock and get the information back. The issue is that it's not just the catalogs that we're querying, it's the algorithm. So you have control over the algorithm as well. So we give you a default algorithm, but you'll be able to decide whether or not you're to tune your algorithm to meet the needs of what you think will be. So, and of course, we're always open to new catalogs. So it's a closed API at the moment. It already exists in LASER, but we're opening it up as part of this ACME work package. Of course, why are we doing this? Why do we want to see the context of these things? It's because we want to know, we want to be able to jump on that gravitational wave alert, or that neutrino alert, or that gamma ray burst that has flashed, and we want to know which galaxy is associated with. Potentially, if it's got a redshift, that gives us what we call 3D information. So it gives us a kind of, we kind of have a ranking inside LASER. So in other words, it's giving us context, which potentially allows us to identify what may or may not be the host galaxy of the interesting thing that went by, or that merged. So I mentioned annotators, and this is one of the ways the brokers can combine information. So this is based on LASER, and what we have is the ability to be able to, for you to be able to send back information about what you think is a property of the DIA object that you've seen from LSST. So, for example, the Fink guys have an R Lyrae filter, for example. So you might be interested in variable stars, and they might be able to chain that with the Sherlock context that we're providing. Giving us the star which it may or may not be associated, etc. So we have these two annotators, Needle and FastFinder, which have been running for quite a few years. But recently, the brokers themselves have also introduced annotators into the existing LASER ZTF infrastructure. And when you do your queries, so LASER, I should say, is a kind of SQL-based querying system, which allows you to query as data is coming through the system, objects that may be associated with various different filters that these guys have created. So this will trigger if it meets your criteria, for example. And if it meets, for example, the criteria of the other filters, which you can introduce, the other annotators, I should say. So that's basically it. I just wanted to give you a quick flavor of what we're doing in broker land. We had the Thinking Ahead workshop. We've got some developments for common broker usage. We've got some, we're debating the common infrastructure, what we do with these stamps. We're sharing common commissioning experience at the moment. We're exploiting each other's functionality, chaining our filters together, for example. And then just to advertise, in this very building, we will be having a summit of brokers next year in June 2026.